Each week on Culinary Confidential, Christina Cates, a seasoned foodie who has worked at some of New York City's top restaurants, will share her passion for the culinary world. Whether you're a professional chef, a restaurant enthusiast, or a lover of good food, Christina dives into the heart of hospitality, exploring the trends, triumphs, and challenges facing the food service profession. And you won't want to miss her chats with some of the most interesting and influential industry voices. And now, please take your seat at the table as Culinary Confidential with Christina Cates starts now, exclusively on AM 970, The Answer.
Welcome to Culinary Confidential, where I celebrate the stories behind what we eat, the people, the places, and the passion that bring every dish to life. I'm your host, Christina Cates. And let us not forget, this show is produced in association with my dear friend, Lucas A. Ferrara. As we head into the rest of November, there's something comforting about slowing down, stepping away from the rush of summer produce, and reconnecting with the heart of the harvest. This is the time when the farm-to-table movement really shines, when crisp mornings and cool evenings remind us that food tastes best when it's grown close to home, harvested with care and served with intention. Farm-to-table isn't just a trend, it's a philosophy, and quite literally, solely what cooking used to always be before these big companies came into the picture, mass-producing food. It's a philosophy that celebrates the freshness, sustainability, and community. It's about knowing where your food comes from, shaking the hand that feeds you, and understanding the seasonality that defines truly great cooking. Whether it's a family-run farm just outside the city, a weekend farmer's market, or a local chef who builds their menu around what's in season, farm-to-table dining connects us back to the land and the people behind every ingredient. And in November, those ingredients tell a special story. The bright berries and tender greens of summer give way to earthier flavors, dark leafy greens, winter squashes, and just dug potatoes. This brings me to my guest tonight. Joining Culinary Confidential for the next hour are two friends of mine, Chef Jason Weiner and Eric Lemonides, the co-founders of Almond Restaurant and L&W Market in Bridgehampton, New York. If you've ever dined at Almond, whether it's in Bridgehampton or Palm Beach or the heart of Manhattan, you know that it's more than just a restaurant. It's a gathering place built on the belief that great food starts with great ingredients and genuine community. Chef Jason has built a solid reputation for creating menus that are rooted in seasonality, showcasing ingredients from local farmers, fishermen, and purveyors he knows personally. His cooking celebrates simplicity and sustainability, dishes that are comforting, creative, and deeply connected to the land. Eric, his longtime friend, and mine, and his business partner, brings that same passion to the front of the house, curating a space and experiences that feels like an extension of the community. Eric has always been an advocate of polished but approachable service, and his smile shines bright in the dining room. Together, Jason and Eric have cultivated a philosophy that's both timeless and forward-thinking. Food should bring people together, honor its source, and reflect the season. From supporting regional producers to hosting community events that spotlight local artisans, Almond has become a model for what farm-to-table ethos looks like in real life. Something that's accessible, authentic, and always delicious. Tonight, we'll talk with Jason and Eric about how that philosophy came to life, how they've maintained their connection to local food over the years, and what farm-to-table means to them as restaurateurs, partners, and friends. Okay, Jason and Eric, welcome to the show. I am so excited to have you with me tonight.
Thanks for having us. This is super exciting.
This show has been 60 weeks in the making. It's not easy to get a hold of two of the most in-demand people in the Hamptons, but the stars aligned and our schedules, and they're in the studio with me tonight. And a fun fact for listeners, Almond Restaurant is the last restaurant I ever worked in. So this is extra special for me tonight.
I don't know how to take that.
Yeah,
exactly.
I don't know how that works. I mean, it could go one of two ways.
No, we ended on a high note.
We did end on a high note.
That's right. Okay, so when people think of almond, right, they might think it's named after the nut. But tell the listeners where this name of the restaurant came from.
Right, so we actually named the restaurant kind of after my wife, whose name.
Well, yeah, but kind of not really. I mean, we rolled the dice on this one. When we opened the restaurant, they were dating.
That's exactly
They were
right.
not married.
A big role.
It was kind of the hope of all hopes that things were going to go well. And, 25 years of the restaurant, and how many years have we been married now?
Less than that.
Yeah, so,
Not by
it
much,
seems
though.
like we're
Not
doing
by
all right.
much, yeah. We got married, I guess my daughter's 17, so 18 years we've been married, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of pressure on Almond to be like, I have a restaurant named after me. I hope this works out.
Yeah, she has mixed feelings about the whole thing, but I think she's gotten used to it. She's okay.
and it's worked out for everyone involved.
So far, so good, after 25 years.
Okay, you both had success in the restaurant industry, separate from each other before collaborating on Almond. What made you decide to get into it together?
It was one of those things. Jason and I both grew up in Brooklyn, started taking the train to Manhattan to kind of work during college. Jason was working in
Where
the
in
kitchen
Brooklyn?
In Flatbush, and Jason was in Park Slope.
Nice.
And we both kind of started working in restaurants to kind of make money during college. As that was kind of starting to happen, we're both doing our own thing, but separately. And at a certain point, I moved out to San Francisco in the early 90s, in like 1991. Jason ended up moving out to San Francisco as well. And we kind of just kept working together, but separate and together and separate. At a certain point, we were both working in the Hamptons as well, right, Jay? What was our timing like there?
Well, yeah, we were out there in 97. That was the first time we tried to open something. In 97, we weren't quite ready for it. It ended up not happening, but I ended up working at Nick and Tony's for that summer. Eric, basically, we knew each other forever. We've known each other since we were little kids. Eric was always a front of the house guy. I was a back of the house guy.
Peanut butter and jelly.
And we kind of knew at some point it was going to happen for us.
So Almond has been around for over 2 decades now. Farm to table wasn't always the buzzword it is today. How did your commitment to local sourcing start? Because you could have opened anything you wanted, but you were like, we're going to go this route.
I don't think we really were, quote unquote, farm to table when we first opened. When we first opened, we were 2 guys who opened a restaurant in the Hamptons. We were getting our food the way everyone else did. We picked up a phone and we called, the Baldors and the Dairylands and said, hey, we need this, we need that. And then kind of over a period of time, I think we both started making friends out there and really realized that the Hamptons is still a fishing and farming community.
That's right.
So the people living around us are farmers and fisher people. Fisher people, is that the way you call them?
Fishermen.
Yeah, I think you can say that.
Oh, well, fisher people, yeah.
Right?
They could be women, too.
They could be fisher people.
Fisher people.
And I think just slowly, I started watching it kind of almost from the outside because, I was still getting, like Jason said, I run the front of the house. I was still getting all my liquor, from calling the liquor distributors. But I noticed Jason was getting to work, in different ways and kind of getting there dirty. And I was like, where do you come from? He's like, well, I stopped at a farm to pick up whatever it was he was picking up at the time. And I think it was kind of slowly started out by Jason literally stopping at farms on his way to work.
Yeah, we've been fortunate enough to really make some amazing relationships over the years. And you see restaurants name checking farms on their menus, but we do it by first name basis, and that kind of telegraphs to people that we have. I mean, these are friends of ours. These are customers of ours. These are really deep relationships that we care a lot about, and we're just kind of part of the story. We're trying to do as little as we can between the food coming out of the ground and then going onto people's tables, giving it a little bit of a whimsical push maybe, but it's really about staying out of the way and trying not to screw it up.
No, I mean, I can remember when I worked there and we would be doing the menus, you would have people's names like Mary Lou's Tomatoes on the menu. And it creates a better connection with where the food is coming from. Do you think there was like a dish or a moment early on that made you realize Almond was on the track to becoming something really special? Because, let me tell you, I know a dish for me that's always stayed with me that's been on your menu, and it's the Brussels sprouts 2 ways. I remember getting that for the first time and thinking, wow, this is super creative. And now you go places and it's on the menu all the time. And I always tell people, I'm like, Almond was doing it first.
That's an interesting dish. Jay, I'm going to take this for a second. Sure. It's an interesting one for us because I was saying earlier, Jason and I both spent a lot of time in San Francisco in the 90s. And in San Francisco in the 90s, the Caesar salad was the thing. Everywhere you went had an amazing Caesar salad. When we opened Almond, I was like, Jason, we got to have a Caesar salad. He's like, dude, every restaurant on the planet does a Caesar salad. And forever. I was like, please, can we have a Caesar salad? And one day he came up to me and said, he's like, dude, I figured out the Caesar salad. And I got it. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he said, Brussels sprouts. I was like, I had no idea. I was what?
Right. And we was at that moment, our friend Ian from Balsam Farm in Amagansett, where we're getting the Brussels sprouts still today from.
Wow.
I was like, you know what? I think Brussels sprouts need their moment. And you're right. The Brussels sprouts Caesar salad has become a little bit of a cliche. But, I don't want to say we were doing it first. There's nothing new under the sun, but we had to have been early on that, for sure.
You definitely were.
Yeah.
Definitely were. And just for people who've never maybe been to Almond, it's shaved Brussels sprouts, like a Brussels sprout salad tossed in the Caesar dressing, and hot Brussels sprouts on top. So
you can say it. They're fried. They're right out of the fryer and hit with lemon juice, and they go right on top.
Nice and warm and toasty right on top. Whatever. They're fantastic. I dream about that salad. Okay. You've created spaces that feel timeless, whether it's in Bridgehampton or, you've been in Palm Beach, you were in Manhattan for the longest time. What's your secret to making people feel instantly at home?
I think the design of the restaurants is something that is more of an Eric thing, and I think it comes from his relationships to other restaurants he's eaten at, he's grown up in. Eric, you want to talk about that?
I remember when we were first opening back in 2001. We were opening a restaurant in the Hamptons, and the Hamptons summer season is kind of what everybody thinks about. And I remember when we were designing and building the restaurant, we signed our lease in October 2000. And we were building it out over that course of that winter. And I remember us having the conversations over and over again of like every design element that was going into it was, oh, this should be white, and this should be beachy, and this should be oceany. And then we're like, wait a second. The summer's going to happen. The summer's going to happen on its own. Yeah. Let's focus on warm and pulling people in November through March. And that was kind of our first design, was really kind of having a warm, cozy French bistro vibe at the beach. And that was kind of the beginning of the design element of that. It was like, okay, make things warm and cozy for people to chill. The rest of it we'll figure out.
And figure it out you did.
So much of our ethos is sort of not trying to reinvent anything and not trying to take ourselves too seriously and not trying to do anything that requires that much challenge or that much thought. We just concentrate on quality and execution, and it's the alchemy of, the food and the service and the decor. They can all be great, but those three elements together don't always work in a spot. But for we've managed to somehow, luckily enough, kind of figure out how those three things come together to make something special.
I see it all the time, especially in New York, because I go out to dinner all the time, and I feel a little bit uninspired with the dining scene in New York right now. And it's interesting because I walk into a restaurant and it's aesthetically absolutely perfect, right? They've had top-notch designers think of every nook and cranny, every gold-plated doorknob. And I'm like, I don't know, something just doesn't feel good about this. Like, it's lacking personality. And Almond always had that. And it really breaks my heart that 22nd Street isn't open anymore, because there's so many times people reach out to me and be like, where to go in New York. I have a group of 12 people. We want something kind of low-key, but really good food. Where should we go? And I'm like,
Yeah,
I don't have an answer for you right now.
That was a fun space, and the pool table in the back that we inherited from the previous tenant was.
Did you? I didn't know that.
Yeah, that wasn't. We just were like, oh my god. At first we were like, oh, we're doing this pool table. I'm like, wait, what are we talking about? We're keeping this freaking pool table.
So was that?
I think a huge part of, and this kind of, Christina, goes to you. A huge part of what you're talking about is and starts at the hiring process.
Yeah.
When I interview somebody for the front of the house, one of the last questions I ever ask them is, what's your experience? Do you know how to open a bottle of wine? Tell me about this. I'll sit and talk to somebody for 15 or 20 minutes and just talk to them. And you get a sense from people, you get a sense what people are about, and that you were just talking about being uninspired in other restaurants, in New York. I mean, when you connect with a server or a maitre d' or a host or a bartender in a restaurant, that place becomes yours, right?
That's right.
That becomes your place. That's where you go to, because you're just like, it's that expression, whatever, let's just go to, and it's the place you always go to. I know you've got a couple of those right now. I mean, I've got that. I go to Checky's regularly, right?
Yeah, we love
and
Checky's.
I love Checky's.
Love Checky's on this show.
But it's that thing. You walk in there and it's like, okay, I'm comfortable here. Why? The people in the place make you comfortable. The rest of it, Jason and I have had this conversation, right? Chefs, front of house and back of the house, have had a conversation for 1,000 years of what's more important, what brings people back, right? The food, the service, the ambiance.
Yeah, the great debate.
Well, at the end of the day, we've pretty much established it's that service. It's that thing that makes people feel comfortable and warm and welcome. And then the other stuff has to be great. But that's the stuff that really, so, when I remember hiring you, like it was yesterday, I mean, I met this woman, I'm like, you were so dynamic, you were so fun, you were so warm, you've got that old world kind of, I got you thing, right?
Yeah.
That's what you need in restaurants. And sometimes, the people who have all the education in the world and hospitality they're great. But there's sometimes, like you said, sometimes that's missing.
You know what? just sparked my memory when you said that. Remember when you were opening Almond in Tribeca on Franklin Street? I was at the Palm, and you used to come in for dinner. You brought Chef Jason with you one night, and I brought someone over to the table every 30 minutes to meet him. I was like, the dishwasher's here. Come meet Chef Jason. Oh, the busboy. Do you know Jason and Eric? The hostess.
I remember that night.
That was
That's
a fun night. That was a long time ago. All right. So, Jason, you've been cooking forever, your whole life practically. What keeps you inspired to do it every day in and out?
Yeah, it's the seasons help with that. Like just when I'm done and kind of bored with corn's gone, and here come winter squash. And just when those are done, cabbage. And then by the time you get into spring, there's fava beans and asparagus, and then you're bored with that after a while, and then whoops, here goes zucchini and eggplant, and there goes corn, and there goes tomatoes, and it kind of works out. It works out perfectly. We do a whole latke thing. I'm like, well, I'm a big potato latke person.
That's right.
It's something it's something, and we do literally thousands out of our market in Bridgehampton around Hanukkah. And I joke that the 8 days is perfect. Because that first day, I'm totally excited to make latkes, and by the 8th day, I'm like, okay, I'm done with latkes for a year. It's sort of the same idea with the ingredients, and that's what kind of keeps me going.
Well, they're a labor of love.
Yes, they are. They
totally a lot of hard work there. Is there a farmer or a fisher person or purveyor relationship that really stands out for you that you want to highlight?
I mean, I think our relationship, and I think Eric will agree with me on this one for reasons that we'll go into in a second. Marilee Foster, who she's a 4th or 5th generation farmer in Sagaponack, so she's about a mile and a half from the restaurant, who grows potatoes and tomatoes for us specifically, but other things as well. She's a real treasure. Her product is amazing. She's amazing. And Eric and his husband Lee actually got married on their farm a couple of years ago, which is a pretty magical day for us.
I was there.
You were there. That's
of course
right.
You were there. What are you talking about?
Totally.
That was a great wedding, by the way.
But when it comes to Marilee, I mean, there are so many people out where we live.
Yes, there are.
Marilee has become one of our favorites. I mean, like he said, Marilee works and lives a mile and a half away from the restaurant, and it happens all the time that I'll walk into the restaurant, and Marilee's having dinner, and it's fun to watch Marilee eating the thing that she farmed, and Jason is cooking, and Brendan is putting together. It's magic watching that happen.
Oh. I love that.
In fact, her sister and her mom just had their birthday dinner at the restaurant a couple of weeks ago.
That's right. The whole family came in one night, and then 2 nights later, they came in again.
Yeah, but what about like the beverage side of things? Because I know you curate your list from a lot of local wineries out east. Channing Daughters, you're big with that.
Channing Daughters is a big one for us, but even the cocktails, it's funny. Jason, without even, I'm sure he kind of knows it, but Jason, even with the cocktails, will guide stuff. I mean, 2 nights ago, we have a group thread with our management crew and our bar crew, and Jason just sent the word pomegranates, to the entire thread. I was like, all of a sudden, everybody started thinking about, all right, we got pomegranates in the kitchen. What can we start doing with pomegranates? And it becomes this kind of fun thing. That's the stuff of the seasonality with the bar that's really fun.
But you mentioned Channing Daughters. So Allison and Christopher, who run Channing Daughters, Christopher Tracy is an amazing winemaker, and he's been making.
I've been trying to get him on the show for a year.
Oh, we got to work on that. Anyway, they came. Their son Cooper, who's now in his first year of college, they came from the hospital with a 3-day-old Cooper.
Oh my goodness!
From the hospital and came and ate dinner at the restaurant. This is at the old place. That's the kind of vibe. I mean, it's a small town out there in Bridgehampton.
Oh, I love it.
It's amazing, yeah.
All right, guys, don't go anywhere. We're going to go to our first commercial break. Stay tuned. You're listening to Culinary Confidential with Christina Cates on AM 970 The Answer.
Over the last 30 years, Newman Ferrara, a New York City law firm, has evolved into a national practice focused on real estate, commercial, litigation, civil rights, class actions, and other complex litigation, representing many of the city's largest property owners, managing agents, and thousands of tenants. Newman Ferrara handles some of the nation's most significant class actions and civil rights matters. Newman Ferrara at 1250 Broadway in New York City. Go online to newmanferrara.com. That's newmanferrara.com. ferrara.com. Listen to the firm's name partner, Lucas Ferrara, every Saturday at 10 a.m. on Dottie Herman's longest-running real estate radio program, Eye on Real Estate on AM 970. A real estate lawyer for 35 years, Lucas is a professor at New York Law School and is also a published author with books on real estate and New York's landlord-tenant law. Tune in Saturdays at 10 a.m. to hear Lucas's unique perspective and advice on Eye on Real Estate.
Welcome back to Culinary Confidential with Christina Cates on AM 970. The Answer.
Welcome back to the show. Chef Jason Weiner and Eric Lemonides are here on Culinary Confidential to share their story, their food, and their vision for keeping community at the center of the table. Tonight's show is all about farm-to-table cooking. In 2001, Jason Weiner and Eric opened the doors in Bridgehampton. Almond became the un-Hamptons restaurant the Hamptons desperately needed. Jason's commitment to straightforward, locally sourced cuisine and Eric's commitment to being nice to people soon garnered a fiercely loyal following for the restaurant. Right out of the gate, Almond became a go-to spot in the Hamptons for locals, celebrities, tourists, and fellow restaurateurs. The critics caught on as well. Almond garnered accolades from such esteemed publications as Wine Spectator and the New York Times. Jason and Eric, welcome back to the show.
Hi.
Hi there.
Should we have just like a special moment, a special shout out for Antonio?
Hey, what's up, Antonio?
What's up, Antonio?
Speaking of Antonio,
That
when are
is
you
my
going to get
guy
Antonio
right
on the
there.
show? Bistro Leluco up in Portland, Maine.
I know.
Gotta get the guy on here.
I reached out to him last year and he was like, yes, let's do it. Because, you know, he's all about saying yes.
Yeah, I'm making my way down there.
We should do a tour of Portland and have Bistro Leluco highlighted.
That's a great
Because
idea.
Antonio taught me a lot of great things working with him in Tribeca at Almond. He always told me, and I say it almost every show, Ryan Pagano, I think you would agree, a rising tide lifts all boats. He would say that at pre-shift every day.
Yeah, I
And
can
it's so
confirm
true.
as such.
Yes, that's correct. All right, guys. So I want to talk a little bit about Meatless Monday because you've always been like a real advocate for that. Where did that come from?
So Sid Lerner, rest in peace, was a customer of ours. He was one of the original Mad Men. He was an advertising guy back in the day when Mad Men were, when that whole vibe was really
Ruled the
going on.
world.
Yeah, exactly. He retired, moved out to the East End. He was one of our regular customers, and he also at the same time was bored and decided that he wanted to start championing the vegetarian movement for all kinds of reasons, health being one of them, but also
Environment was a
obviously
big part of it.
environmental is another piece of it. And he came to me. He's like, I'm doing this thing. He's like a total character. And meatless just one day a week. You don't have to force people to do anything. It can be an option on the menu. And, we were obviously full on because we sell, well, obviously, most of our food anyway is vegetable centric. We're halfway there. And we're also always willing for a hustle, way to bring in a couple of bucks, bring in some new customers. And it's been a thing. We every Monday we still have our regular menu, but then we offer a little vegetarian price fix, and it's great. I mean, it's win-win. I mean, it's an option for people. There are a lot of vegetarians out there that feel often when they come to a restaurant, the chef can make you something that's vegetarian, but it ends up being some kind of mishmash thing that's put together with a bunch of veg that are on the menu already. But this is something specific and something kind of pointed and something mindful and it's something for them.
I mean, the almond buffalo cauliflower is still the best in the game.
A lot of our great dishes, the kimchi fried rice, the buffalo cauliflower, those came out of things that we did that like one night a week, and we're like, you know what, this should be a regular thing.
I love it. It's always been my dream to open a food market of sorts, right? I would say even more than a restaurant. How is it different or the same running L&W Market as it is a restaurant? Like, what's the hardest part?
It's funny. There's a lot. Obviously, there's a lot of similarities, but there are so many differences. In a restaurant, you have a limited number of seats. You have a limited time where you can sell things, right? All of a sudden, we've been in the restaurant business for 20-something years before we opened our market, L&W Market. And all of a sudden, we started realizing, like, wow, like there are days where, like, nobody comes in the market, and it feels like, wow, why are we doing this? But the end of the day happens, and you're like, oh my God, our sales numbers were insane because, like, 2 people come in and blow you out, right? It's just such a different experience. What we get to sell there is kind of more, I'm going to say it's more fun for me because the restaurant, Jason kind of is making the food decisions all across the board. At the market, when Lee and I travel places, there are so many things that are at L&W where we've traveled someplace and we're like, oh my God, those freaking cookies were insane. We got to get those cookies. And 2 weeks later, there are these cookies on the shelves. I joke that one of the reasons we opened the market, Lee and I were in Provincetown, I don't know how many years ago, and we had these peanuts, plantation peanuts, and they were amazing, and they were really expensive. And I joked that, like, we should open a market just so we can get the plantation peanuts for wholesale. Those peanuts sell like crazy.
They're in a can. They're cute, different colors. They're delicious.
No, the market's very aesthetically pleasing. Yeah. Even Bethany Frankel posts about it. I remember seeing it on one of her TikToks, like if it was last summer or the summer before, and I was like, hey, I know that place.
Well, that's the fun thing for me. Like all the hot sauces and things that we've done at the restaurant forever. It's a place for us to be able. Like I had all this beef fat in the restaurant that I had nothing to do with. I was like, oh, wait up. The people with tallow these days, beef tallow, that's a thing. So I rented it all down, and now we're selling beef tallow at the market. And you can't really get beef tallow many places.
No, definitely not.
And we have 5 different kinds of duck fat. We have Chinese 5-spice duck fat, curried duck fat, Moroccan spice duck fat.
It's also one of the nice things about kind of what we're doing specifically. I mean, there are a lot of high-end markets out in the Hamptons. What we're doing specifically, because we're attached to a restaurant,
right?
We have a lot of people come into the market, asking for really random stuff. You usually walk into a market and they're like, no, we don't have that. We will run next door to the restaurant and be like, Jason, I don't know. I mean, I can't even think of something right now. Pink salt. I don't know how long ago it was, but now we sell pink salt regularly. But that happened because somebody came in. They're like, we can't find pink salt anywhere.
And that really started during COVID, where people just got the word out, and I started giving people just like I said, it's small town out there, so I started giving people my cell phone. I was like, look, if there's anything you can't find, I got a whole restaurant that's actually being underutilized right now.
That's right.
A big part of that out there is even there's a lot of private chefs out there,
right? Totally.
Who want. And when Jason was saying beef tallow and duck fat, 5 different types of duck fat. When you have people coming in asking for duck fat, they're cooking. They're not just out there kind of sourcing a bunch of food and warming it up at the end of the day. They're going home and cooking that stuff.
Right.
I had Chef Andrew Mullen on the show. He's out in the Hamptons a lot. I had him on a couple months ago. Do you know him?
For sure.
Yeah, he's out there, and then he travels around Miami. He's in New York. I don't know. He likes the housewives. He's always cooking for them. Ramona. Okay. Oh boy. Ramona Singer. I think she's in like Southampton or something. All right, you've opened many restaurants together. You've closed restaurants together. What's one that really pulled at your heartstrings when you had to shut the doors? Because that's the industry, right? It just changes.
It's a hard. I wonder if we're going to have the same answer to this.
I think we are. Go ahead.
The one that was the hardest for me was L&W Market. It was L&W Oyster. Sorry, that was for me. That was the hardest one. Almond 22nd Street. We were there almost 17 years. That one's a rough one, but we had such a long, wonderful, amazing run. And at the end of that, it was just post-COVID. Our lease was up. We were kind of doing other things. Neither one of us really, our hearts were in the restaurant, but I think for me at that point, my heart wasn't really in New York City full-time anymore. And part of owning a restaurant is you want to be there. For me, I want to be in it. I want to touch it. I want to be feeling it. I want to kind of see the lighting every day, right? So that one was but L&W was on 5th Avenue and 29th Street. And we were open for 4 or 5 years, at which time the building next to us, and we were killing it. We were having so much fun. It was a 60-seat little oyster bar.
The food was fantastic.
And it was fun. It was whimsical, and there was Dr. Seuss wallpaper on the bathrooms and on the hallways. And about 4.5 years in, the building next to us got completely demolished. And they were building an 80-story skyscraper. It took so much out of us. It took the storefront out of us. It took that was a rough one. Yeah,
we got surrounded by scaffolding at some point. We just couldn't make it from there.
It reminded me of the opening scene of that movie Up. Yeah. It was kind of like we were like this little thing in the middle, and everything around us was just kind of getting demolished. And I mean, it's funny. I mean, I think 10 years later, that block is really beautiful now, and there's a cute little Thai restaurant open there.
It was this time. So I think it was October, November. Right before Hurricane Sandy, or right during when you were opening it, I remember because I remember being in the restaurant. You're like, "Well, we're supposed to open this place in 4 days,"
right? And,
we were a block north of where there was power.
Well,
we had
line...
That's right. That's exactly right.
On 22nd Street, we had no power. There was on the other side of Broadway. There was no power there. And then up at L&W, we were bringing all the food. We were storing all the food from Almond in L&W and trying to open L&W at the same time.
We did open it.
Wild.
We opened it that week.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy.
And we were packed. Remember, we actually kept the brown paper on the windows even though we were open because it was just... People were just coming because there were lights.
Right, totally.
And you were letting them charge their phones, I remember.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, L&W Oyster was great, but that wasn't going to be my answer. So we went about 4 or 5 years after we opened the original Almond down the block. So this is 2006, I guess it was. We opened a Mexican place in out east in Wainscott called Almondito. And it was a regional Mexican spot that was awesome, and I was able to, use. It was a great outlet for the local product we were getting. I was able to tap a lot of my crew, who are obviously Central and Latin American, and it was awesome. And we had a couple of great years, and then it just didn't seem to. People weren't vibing on that kind of food in the winter. Maybe it was. For whatever reason, we ended up having to close. And, of course, when we did close, we'd have all our customers coming to us at Almond. It's like, oh, my God, L&W is my favorite. Almondito is our favorite place. Like, when was the last time you were there, honey? It's like, oh, yeah, I guess it was. It's like,
PSA to people, if you want a place to stay in business, you have to go
exactly
there.
Right.
Right? All right, guys, let's go to our last commercial break. More with Jason and Eric and farm-to-table cooking when we return.
Over the last 30 years, Newman Ferrara, a New York City law firm, has evolved into a national practice focused on real estate, commercial, litigation, civil rights, class actions, and other complex litigation, representing many of the city's largest property owners, managing agents, and thousands of tenants. Newman Ferrara handles some of the nation's most significant class actions and civil rights matters. Newman Ferrara at 1250 Broadway in New York City. Go online to newmanferrara.com. That's newmanferrara.com. Listen to the firm's name partner, Lucas Ferrara, every Saturday at 10 a.m. on Dottie Herman's longest-running real estate radio program, Eye on Real Estate on AM 970. A real estate lawyer for 35 years, Lucas is a professor at New York Law School and is also a published author with books on real estate and New York's landlord-tenant law. Tune in Saturdays at 10 a.m. to hear Lucas's unique perspective and advice on Eye on Real Estate.
Welcome back to Culinary Confidential with Christina Cates on AM 970. The Answer.
Welcome back to the show. Chef Jason Weiner and Eric Lemonides are on Culinary Confidential to share their story, their food, and their vision for keeping community at the center of the table. Tonight's show is about farm-to-table cooking. When I think about Almond and L&W Market, I think of from the heart cooking, which is why I chose this topic and these special guests for the Thanksgiving episode. Every day feels like a holiday at their restaurants. Now, before we get into the rest of this segment, we have to continue the shout-outs, right? We gave Antonio the highlight last segment. Number one, we have to say hello to Lee. Lee Felty, we love you.
You wouldn't be here without Lee Felty. I don't know about the radio show, but we would never met without Lee,
correct.
Right?
That is absolutely
my husband,
correct.
best guy on the planet. Lee Lemonides now, by the way.
He's the guy I did the post about from Squares and Fair, the pizzeria in Summers Point, New Jersey, which people, they got a kick out of that. That was a funny reel. Okay, so Lee, we love you. Next, we need to say hello, a special hello. Jason, you want to take this one? Because these are special to you for sure.
Yeah, well, two of my guys, we talked about it. We talked about Checky's earlier, which is an amazing kind of clubby, super delicious spot downtown.
13th Street, check it out.
There we go. Anyway, two of my guys are running the kitchen there. Cesar Balderas and Urso Campos. These are guys that I've been through war with, worked with me, worked for me. I've worked for them going back probably 15 years.
I think Caesar worked at every one of our restaurants, right? Didn't Urso as well?
Caesar has worked, Tribeca, maybe not L&W, Oyster.
I'm sure
but
he made a pop-up at L&W.
I've had Urso out east during COVID. Anyway, these guys are amazing chefs, and definitely go down there and check them out.
They'll go with you in the trenches all night long.
Totally.
I mean, I remember going to pop-up things you would do in big fields in Bridgehampton, and Caesar would pop out from behind the tent and be like, "Oh my God, you're here too?"
Totally.
All right. Let's talk about New York City dining and the future of the industry, if we can. What advice would you give someone who's opening a restaurant in New York City today?
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
No, I'm kidding.
Everyone
I'm kidding. It's going to sound corny, but just keep it real. Just, keep those important things close to your heart and remember them, right? Be hospitable. Be nice to people. It's such a weird world we live in right now, and it's so easy to kind of, people, you walk into a restaurant and the host or hostess or maitre d' doesn't look up from the computer and make eye contact with you. And it's just like, all right, something as simple as looking up at someone and smiling at them as soon as they walk in and saying hello and having being heartfelt, man, that's my advice. Just connect with people.
Yeah, I mean, I think Eric kind of talked about this. Keeping it simple, I think overcomplicating things, especially in the city. I mean, restaurant business is tough enough, but man, there are just so many variables in the city, having to deal with FDNY and health and garbage companies and all of it, right? So trying to cut out as many middlemen as you can is helpful. I mean, we talk about farm-to-table dining, and yes, it's great to have relationships. It's great to put food on people's tables that came right out of the ground maybe earlier that day, but it's also easier. It's easier to have direct relationships with the people who you're getting the food from. I mean, as opposed to having to go through 3 or 4 different levels of whatever it is. And I mean, I think it's also, it's important to have a little bit of a commitment to what you're doing, as far as, well, you don't really want to, you have to have a little bit of lack of self-doubt and realize that, look, it might not work now, but let me keep at it, and then maybe it'll work, and then if it doesn't, you get the hell out of there.
It was so hard, though, to own a restaurant or open a restaurant as an independent restaurateur now in New York. You see so many of these large restaurant groups that are taking over. I mean, you have like Tillman Fertitta, right? He's buying up all these restaurants. The Catch Group is expanding. They're popping up many restaurants a year. It's hard for like 1 or 2 people to do like a mom and pop sort of style restaurant in New York.
Yeah. I mean, that's for sure. But the small independent restaurant, the mom and pop restaurant, they'll always have a place. It might be a smaller block, it might be a smaller neighborhood, it might be a different vibe, but there's always going to be a need for people to come together that's warm and real, right? And you don't get that. You don't get that from the big box stores. You get other stuff, right? I mean, you want to go have a party. Oh, I'm going to Catch. I'm freaking right. I'm going to go have a good time. There's a lot of places you want to go to. But that everyday meal, I mean, not everyday meal is at your local joint, and that's always an independent joint that's owned by real people.
Yeah. Do you guys think you'll ever open another restaurant in New York City?
Oh, Jesus.
Probably not in New York City. Like Eric said, he might have alluded to it. I mean, we both live out on the East End of Long Island, and we spent a lot of time. When we had the place on 22nd Street and we had a place in Tribeca and L&W Oyster, we spent a lot of time on the LIE.
That's right, you did.
A lot of time. It's a young man's game. I mean, we're still, we're there in the restaurant pretty much every day now in Bridgehampton. It was always the mothership, and it's kind of where... It's where we're kind of where our hearts are now. I mean, we had to leave. We had to go open these places in the city, and we kind of felt like, me and Eric have talked about this. We kind of felt like the dad with another life, kind of cheating on her, with a separate family and different set of kids, and
I get that.
We felt like we were cheating on our original baby.
Well, I guess that's why it was always good, though, that there was 2 of you, right? So, like, if one was planted in Bridgehampton a little more, the other can kind of keep an eye in Manhattan.
It's funny. Even when we opened in Florida, we kind of kept that same vibe. It was, Lee would be in Florida, Jason would be in Bridgehampton, I'd be in the city. Or Jason would be, it was always kind of like that we were taking turns back and forth. And we also, you were talking about him earlier, part of the city thing, Antonio Rapazza was such a big part of our city experience. I mean, Antonio was, Jason and I joke that we're kind of an old married couple. He's married to his wife, I'm married to my husband, but at the end of the day, we're married together. Antonio, for a lot of years, was kind of our throuple.
That's right, he was.
I mean, he was. Antonio was one of those people that you trusted his judgment, you trusted what he was doing, and so he was always the main guy in the city place for years and years, right? So at this point, will we open something else probably in New York City? I think we can both probably say nah.
Oh, crushes my soul a little bit. This reminded me when you were talking about Florida. I miss you having a restaurant in Florida because I can remember very fondly a couple years ago, I had to drive down to Boca and you were like, I'm going to leave my car. I'm flying in New York. I'm going to leave the keys in my car in the parking garage at the airport. I'll leave the doors unlocked.
That's right.
I'm on level whatever, spot 5. Just jump in and drive it down to Boca when you get here. And I was like, this is like something out of a movie. But you had the restaurant in Palm Beach, so you were back and forth a lot.
And I made so many different kinds of new farming friends down there. All of a sudden I was getting local citrus and lemongrass and ginger and coconuts. That was awesome.
Don't forget the pompano.
The pompano. That was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun doing all kinds of different, a completely different kind of farm to table vibe.
It pushed you out of like your comfort zone.
Super fun. Yeah.
Part of that fun was when we met Brendan, our current chef de cuisine out in Bridgehampton, Brendan Long. We met down in Florida, and he and Jason, watching the two of them talk kind of Florida food was so fun for me to watch them kind of vibe on that, because so much of it was really new for Jason. Brendan had been kind of in that world for a little while.
What about like alligator nuggets? Alligator tacos.
WTF.
I'll get right on that.
Now we're getting real Florida. All right, the restaurant industry has faced massive shifts in recent years, from supply chain challenges to evolving diner expectations. How have you both adapted while staying true to Almond's roots?
Supply chain challenges. Again, I don't want to go back to this again, but people are asking me like, "Ooh, how are these tariffs? These must be beating up." I was like, "No, I'm getting my vegetables from a mile and a half away.
They're across the street.
It's across the street. My cheese, no, that's from Art Ludlow. The cows are right there. You can see the cows." So a lot of it, and again, Eric, with we're getting wine from people like Changdars and Pomanock. There are. So I mean, honestly, supply chain vibes haven't really been an issue for us. I mean, labor is its own thing, and the behavior and the sort of like the politics of the moment, and people being a little scared is a thing for sure that we have to work around. But we have a crew that's been with us some of our people have been with us for 20 years. Carmen, who does a lot of things for us at the restaurant. I met her when she was pregnant with her daughter, Karen. Karen is now hostess at the at the restaurant. She works at the market. She's in college. This is how long we go back with some of these people. So
what I think is really special about what you guys do, a lot of people don't know, like in the summer when they're looking for some seasonal help, like they'll find you housing. You come with a job, but they're also like, hey, if you need a place to crash during the week, like we got you. And there's not a lot of places that do that, but you really care about your employees.
Yes, basements, couches, the whole thing.
The beach, whatever.
Yeah.
All right, we're nearing the end of our time. Is there any stories you want to share? Some salacious stories?
Oh, boy.
It could be from anywhere. It could be.
Boy, part of the whole thing of I joke about this, Christina, and you know this for working with me. The job of maitre d' is never to tell a story. The job of a maitre d', the job of a restaurant owner is to keep
His
it all.
lips are sealed.
I mean, to quote Elaine, it's a vault, babe. I got nothing for you when it comes to stories. If you're there on a night that someone special sing karaoke, then you happen to be there. But no, when it comes to stories, I mean, a lot has happened over the years. A lot of crazy things have happened over the years. But that's kind of the fun of being in the restaurant. It happens when you're in the restaurant.
All right, so this is the Thanksgiving episode, right? Thanksgiving's in just a few short days. What is something you're both thankful for?
Eric? I'll go first.
Yeah, you go first.
I'll go first.
I'm thankful for you, Jason.
I was just about to say the same thing. Shoot.
I mean, no, seriously. Look, what do we all have to be thankful for, right? The stuff in our lives that's amazing. The stuff and I'm going to speak for both of us right now. The people in our lives are the things we have to be thankful for. I'm truly thankful to this guy sitting next to me, who I've been friends with and known since I was 6 years old.
Wow.
Who I can trust and bank on anything. This dude will do anything for me, and I will do anything for him We, like married couples, yell at each other. We have fights. We go toe to toe, face to face, screaming at each other. And 10 minutes later, we're just kind of like looking at each other like, wow, we're a couple of idiots. I'm truly thankful to have a business partner that like Jason, who I've kind of grown up with.
Yeah.
I was going to say all those same things, but there goes Eric stealing my thunder as per usual.
Yeah, that's my job.
All right, guys, this was so
And my
great.
mother.
Oh, of course. I guess I
Oh, hey, Mom.
it's to your mom.
Damn, dude, I got my mom before you did.
And Lee.
And Lee.
And Lee.
And Almond.
And Almond.
And Almond. That's
The human
right.
being.
And
we're
you,
talking about.
Christina. Seriously, you know, and
thank you.
I think we're probably out of time, but it's been over a year that you've had this show. I was on, wasn't I on your first, wasn't I on the
Lee
first
dialed in
show?
from the Turnpike.
But I think I was on the phone with you. I'm really thankful that this worked out.
Me too. This
Yes,
was great.
and
One of my
keeping
favorite
in the
shows.
family, the Almond family forever, right? There we
Forever.
go.
Almond forever. Okay, this brings me to the ingredient of the week, which Jason has told me this is not an ingredient, but we're going to highlight it anyway. This week, I wanted the ingredient to reflect late fall harvests and cozy seasonal cooking, so I chose root vegetables for the feature, and my guests tonight were the inspiration for this. November is peak season for earthy, nutrient-rich root vegetables like carrots, parsnips, beets, rutabagas, and turnips. Is that correct?
Those are all root vegetables. You
Okay.
are correct.
Root vegetables are the unsung heroes of fall cooking. This time of year, local farms are digging up the last of their harvest, all of which store beautifully and deliver incredible flavor when cooked simply. In a true farm-to-table kitchen, root vegetables are a cornerstone ingredient because they're seasonal, sustainable, and deeply connected to the soil they come from. And guess what? There's a ton of nutritional value in them as well. They're packed with vitamin A and C, potassium, and fiber. And root vegetables are both grounding and nourishing. Their natural sugars caramelize when roasted, giving them a depth of flavor that's hard to replicate with out-of-season produce. Another reason why I personally like them is because there's minimal waste, right? Nearly every part of the plant, from beet greens to carrot tops, can be used in cooking. Some culinary ideas for these vegetables are roasted root vegetable medley with local thyme and honey, carrot and parsnip puree served with braised short ribs, beet salad with goat cheese and microgreens, or how about a carrot top pesto? That's a no-waste, flavor-packed condiment. Root vegetables remind us that flavor starts underground. From soil to skillet, they're proof that the simplest ingredients, when grown with care, can bring warmth to every fall table. Thank you for listening to Culinary Confidential with Christina Cates, Sunday nights at 9 p.m. on AM 970 The Answer. And thank you again to my wonderful guests. I wish you a happy Thanksgiving. That's the show for tonight. Thanks for listening and have a great night.
The preceding program is sponsored by Shake It Off Live, LLC.